Good day. It's Monday, September the 30th, 2024, and this is the Daily Article Podcast. I'm Chris Elkins, narrating today's Daily Article, written by Denison Forum co-founder and CEO, Dr. Jim Denison. Israel killed Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah in an airstrike on the group's central command headquarters Friday. An Iranian general was killed in the same strike. Israel's military says it has now eliminated 8 of Hezbollah's 9 most senior military commanders. As of this morning, Israel has also killed Hamas leaders in Lebanon and Syria and bombed Houthi rebels in Yemen. However, the killing of Nasrallah is making headlines not just for its political significance, but also for the way it was conducted. According to a senior Israeli official, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's Friday address to the United Nations was part of a quote-unquote diversionary plan intended to make Nasrallah believe Israel would not take drastic action with the prime minister out of the country. The terrorist leader was believed to be watching Mr. Netanyahu's speech at the UN and was then attacked by Israeli Air Force planes. The prime minister approved the strike before delivering his speech, the official added. To Hezbollah and its jihadist allies, Nasrallah is being mourned today as a hero. To U.S. President Joe Biden, his killing was a measure of justice for his many victims, including hundreds of Americans over a 4-decade reign of terror and thousands of Israeli and Lebanese civilians. To Mr. Netanyahu, Nasrallah, quote, was not just another terrorist, he was the terrorist. As a reminder, Israel's current conflict with Hezbollah started when the terrorist group began bombing northern Israel in solidarity with Hamas's genocidal invasion on October 7th. Nearly 80,000 Israelis living near the Lebanese border have been forced to flee. Israel's goal is to enable them to return to their homes in peace. As I watched the news regarding Nasrallah's death unfolding over the weekend, the biblical admonition from Numbers 32, verse 23, echoed in my mind. Be sure your sin will find you out. I'm not saying that all suffering is the consequence of sin. To the contrary, I am praying fervently for the many innocent victims of Hurricane Helene in the southeastern U.S. and for the brave Ukrainians as they stand up to Vladimir Putin's murderous invasion. I am not saying that Israel's leaders can do no wrong or that their every action is an expression of God's will. Nor am I claiming that the state of Israel, founded in 1948, is a direct fulfillment of biblical prophecy, a question that is much debated. Find a link in today's episode notes to my extensive article on this topic. But I am saying that sins have consequences for sinners. Some are apparent in the moment, as with God's judgment of Ananias and Sapphira for their deception in Acts 5, verses 1 through 11, and on King Herod in Acts 12, verses 20 through 23, for his idolatrous pride. Some take longer to unfold, as with God's eventual judgment on Egypt in Exodus 15 and the execution of genocidal Haman in Persia recorded in Esther 7, verses 7 through 10. And some must be discerned through the eyes of faith as we trust the justice and timing of God, as taught in Psalm 73, verse 17. But all unconfessed and unrepented sin leads to the same ultimate result revealed in Ezekiel 18, verse 20, the soul who sins shall die. For the lost, their death is eternity in hell, as recorded in Revelation 20, verse 15. For the Christian, their death is the forfeit of God's blessing not only in this life, but the reward in the next, as referenced by 1 Corinthians 3, verses 10 through 15. I have often quoted this maxim. Sin will always take you further than you wanted to go, keep you longer than you wanted to stay, and cost you more than you wanted to pay. If you're thinking that statement doesn't apply to you, you're being deceived right now. So, how should we respond today? Consider these 3 ways. 1. Confess personal sins immediately. Since none of us knows when we will stand before God's judgment, according to Matthew 24, verse 36, and Hebrews 9, verse 27, we must be ready to meet Him today. Ask the Spirit to show you anything that is wrong between you and your Lord, then confess what comes to your mind and claim your Father's forgiving grace as taught in 1 John 1:9. And do it now. 2. Seek reconciliation with others. Jesus taught us in Matthew 5, verse 24 to first be reconciled to your brother, even before offering worship to the Lord. The only day we have to make our relationships right with others is today. 3, view temptation as spiritual poison leading to death. God will enable us to defeat all temptation according to 1 Corinthians 10, verse 13, but we must turn immediately to Him, seeking the power and victory that can be ours. In one of my pastorates, I preached a sermon one morning emphasizing our need to be ready for the judgment of God. Following our evening service, an older couple thanked me for my message that morning. They told me they had taken my sermon to heart, praying together that afternoon as they confessed their sins and asked God to make them right with Him and others. On Monday, the wife died of a heart attack. On Tuesday, I received a thank you card from her in the mail. She had written and posted it on Sunday in case she did not see me that night. I read it at her memorial service on Wednesday. You and I are one day closer to eternity than ever before. Are you ready?
Are you feeling anxious or overwhelmed by the intensity of this election season? As followers of Jesus, we're called to rise above the chaos and embrace a path of peace. But in a world where political tension runs high, that's often easier said than done. That's why Denison Forum has compiled all the resources you need in one place, designed to help you navigate politics with faith and understanding. At denisonforum.org/election, you'll find resources for every need. Whether you're looking for daily Christian perspectives on political news, guided prayers to keep your heart grounded, or tools to help your children understand the season from a faith-based perspective, we have you covered. These resources are here to help you filter through the noise and approach the political season with a biblical mindset. Equip yourself and your family today. Visit denisonforum.org/election and embrace a faith-filled approach to politics this season. Together, let's rise above the chaos and stand firm in our faith.